Okay. So now I'm going to take you through, let's do 4 examples where you are given the angles being the numbers, and what they want you to do, it is to just write them as a function value of a positive acute angle. Straight away, let's look at example A without wasting much of our precious time, and say you are given sine of negative 30 degrees. Yes, let's say you are given that. Okay. What did I say about negative angles? We assume them to fall in the fourth quadrant. But most importantly, remember that it is an angle that is given to you as a negative angle. So the question wants us to rewrite it as a positive angle. So now that we have negative angle and we assume it to fall in the fourth quadrant. In the fourth quadrant is that sign positive? Nope, it's not. It is negative. Therefore, we will rewrite it as negative sine of 30 degrees. Therefore, it means we are done. It's like that. What is it? You remember we said if we have negative angle, the sign of negative angle, we say which quadrant? Fourth quadrant. Is this thing positive or negative? It's negative. Then it ends up being negative sine that. The only difference is that here it's given to us as a number and not as theta. Let's do another example. Maybe let's look at example B. And then example B, let's say it's cos negative 40 degrees. Same principle. Which quadrant? We assume it to be fourth quadrant. Is this thing positive or negative in the fourth quadrant? It's positive. Therefore, it ends up being cos of 40 degrees. So it's just a matter of rewriting this as a positive acute angle. I hope that part alone makes sense. Okay, let's look at another example, and this time around, example C, it is, let's say we have tan of negative 150 degrees. Okay, so now with this one, let's see, same thing. Negative angle, which quadrant? Fourth quadrant. Is tan positive or negative? It's negative in the fourth quadrant. It therefore becomes negative tan 150 degrees. Now, most importantly, they said we have to rewrite this as a positive acute angle. Is this acute angle? No. Then it means we need to continue to work it out and say negative 150, we have to reduce it. That's why we'll need to use the reduction formula. And say the same as 180 degrees minus 30 degrees. 180 minus 30 is that 150. So we will therefore say in this quadrant, being the second quadrant, is tan positive or negative? It is negative. So remember, I started with the original negative, that one. Be careful of this. That's why you get it wrong. Therefore, you will have to say negative tan of 30 degrees. And then that means that multiplying that, it makes it a positive. That's why you end up having it as positive 30 degrees. Trust me when I say if you punch tan 30 degrees, it will give you the same answer as you punch tan negative 150 degrees. Just always be careful of that. Okay, then it's fine. Let's look at another example. An interesting example there where we are having cos, and that cos we are having 920 degrees. Okay. I think the easiest way to work it out is this way, where we can just say, let's see, what is that 920 made of? Then you can easily say, because it's greater than 360, you can just say 920 minus 360 minus 360. How many 360s did you minus? 2 of them. What is remaining is 200. You only stop after getting or remaining with a value which is less than 360. So that's why you will therefore say you are remaining with 200 degrees after you have done how many? 2 of 360 degrees. You remember this, where we said you will write it in this format of an angle plus how many 360s? That's what I've just done there. It doesn't matter how you interpret it. It doesn't matter if you start with 2 of 360s and all of that. Again, you can still do it this way and say, actually, it is the same as 360 degrees that you plus it with another 360 degrees that you plus it with 200 degrees. This thing, it does give you that same 920. Then if you rewrite it in that format, then it will mean it is cos of how many 360s? 2 of them. You don't even need to do that, because you can just say 2 representing the k of 360 degrees plus that 200. I hope that part makes sense, but remember, that's not the end of it. I'll just remove all of these and then continue from which one? Maybe let me continue from that one, because it's not necessarily a lengthy thing. It doesn't have to be a lengthy calculation. So the nice thing about it is that the moment you have figured out that value, then this one disappears. Yes, that one, it completely disappears, and then all that you remain with, it is just cos of 200. You can even just write it as cos of 200 degrees. It doesn't matter even if you put it inside the bracket. So whichever way, whether it was written as that what is it, cos of 2 of 360 degrees plus that 200, you can just interpret it as saying whatever 360 plus and then 360 plus, which we said, let's assume all the 360 plus, meaning if you have cos, it doesn't matter if it's tan, it doesn't matter if it is sine, as long as it is 360 degrees plus whatever angle, we assume it to be falling in the first quadrant, whereby all of these things are positive. So that is why even this one, even though it's written as 200 degrees first, but remember I said you can still write it as 2 of that plus that, then it's the same as positive, that same thing, but that whatever angle there, which means this is not an acute angle, so you need to further process it, whereby you can still say this thing is actually the same as 180 degrees that you plus it by 20 degrees. Then in which quadrant does that fall? Let's see, 180 plus fourth quadrant, and cos is negative, so that means this thing is the same as negative cos of 20 degrees. Yes. Not an easy thing to do. Trust me when I say you will need to apply more effort into these things. And the effort that I'm talking about is you redoing the same examples that I have done and try to pay maximum attention. So that's why it's very much important to not proceed to the next lesson until you fully understood what I've explained, because these things are connected. So if you just brush through them and then you get to be promoted, and next thing you're in grade 12 and they still ask these things but you did not understand them, you will redo them, but they are going to be heavy because they'll be combined with some heavy stuff. So just make sure that you do things step by step, so that when you get to the highest level, at least you did not leave any stone unturned. So I think, yes, try to redo these exact same things that I've done and see how far you can go. Maybe before you do the exercises, yes, or you should test. Okay, I think I'll leave it here and say